What's up, guys? It's Tanner with another episode of the Dad Shift. Today, we're going to have a guest on. His name is Nick. He's a full time firefighter here in Montgomery County, and he's going to be sharing his testimony with us. So I just hope you guys enjoy and get something from it, and we'll see you next shift. There you go. I just want to thank you for this awesome night. Just want to thank you for Nick being willing to share his testimony. I ask that you just bless this time. God, just let Nick's words be filled with your words. And just let this be a glorifying experience to you, God. Let us all put our glory in you and show you glory in everything that we do. God, just hope this reaches the people that need to hear it, and just give us peace, and just let this flow like a natural conversation, God. In your name we pray. Amen.
Mm.
All right, so we got Nick. He's a full-time firefighter. So, Nick, why don't you just go ahead and introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get started.
Okay, so I'm Nick. As Tanner said, I'm a first responder, firefighter, EMT. I've been on the job. First started in 2015 as part-time and full-time in 2016. I'm a dad, got a wife, three kids, and well, that's pretty much my life is going to work, and then when I'm not at home, or when I'm not at work, I'm at home with the wife and kids. That's pretty much what my world revolves around, is those two things. So
Yeah, and you work at 4896, right?
yes, so we work at 4896. Actually, I've found that I like that schedule. We switched from a what they call, I guess, the Kelly 9 day schedule
Mm-hmm.
in like 2022, I believe
Okay.
it was. And so, yeah, we've just been
W-
working that ever since.
Was that
Yeah.
transition hard, or was it fairly easy?
So for me, it was probably, I don't want to say it was hard, but it was different. I personally liked the Kelly 9 day
Yeah.
because the way that it works out, I could work my in between days and then
Yeah.
still have my 4 days off.
Right.
And so with the 4896, you don't get that option. Anytime
Mm-hmm.
you work overtime, you're always cutting into your 4 days off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a little bit of a culture change as far as that goes. But it is also nice working your tour all at once and then being home.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I came from a Kelly day as well, in my previous department, and so going from that to a 2448 was a little bit of an adjustment, but we make it work. That's just kind of the nature of the job. So
yeah.
yeah, man. Well, so you've got a pretty awesome testimony. So I've gotten to know Nick through just church. He goes to church with me, and he's a good guy, and it's an honor to know him. And I got to hear his testimony, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. So I guess just kind of to start out, like tell us a little bit about maybe your childhood and leading into that, and then we'll get into the thick of it.
Um, Well, I appreciate you calling my testimony awesome. I feel like it's very, very mild compared to a lot of the ones that I've heard since
Mm-hmm.
we're in the re-engage class, and so I've heard a broad variety of different stories. But let's see, my childhood, I grew up in a what I would call a small town. My best friend was my next door neighbor. I'm an only child, so like I spent like half of my life over there. I would, spend the night at his house. We were we were like brothers,
Yeah.
honestly. So we just kind of integrated into each other's lives. Um, and then with that being said, because I wanted to hang out with him so much, a lot of times I would go to church with him, and they were Catholic though, and they also spoke Spanish, and so they would go to a Spanish speaking church, and I just tagged along.
Yeah. Did you
Obviously not
understand it
from.
all, or did you catch up on it?
So growing up, I did learn a lot of Spanish to the point that by the time I got into high school, in the 10th grade, they put me in Spanish 3 pre AP,
There you go.
and they put me on. So this specific teacher, she split her room with non-native speakers and native speakers. You want to take a guess on what side that I was on?
You were on the native speakers, weren't you?
I was on the native speaker side. I was the only white person over there.
That's awesome.
Anyway, so I did
Yeah.
understand quite a bit, but it's one of those things, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Right.
So I don't really speak as much Spanish as I do anymore. But still, the point is that I wasn't going for the right
Yeah.
reasons,
Yeah.
hanging out at church. I was just going to hang out with him, and we were, cutting up and stuff, being bad kids in church.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I played soccer. In fact, I still do. I play the summer games with some other departments. And but yeah, so
So yeah, so just going to church was more just a byproduct to hang out with friends, not really intentional. And so that was coming from friends though, not family. That was
correct.
yeah,
Yeah, I didn't have any religious or any talks of church from my own family whatsoever.
right.
The only time I will say, I think I was like 3 months old, because of my biological father, I was baptized Catholic, but
Yeah.
that was the extent of
Okay.
it. And I actually didn't even find that out until I was like, I don't know, a teenager or
Yeah.
something.
So that was as a baby or
Yeah, I
yeah.
was only like 3 months old.
Yeah.
And then re religion and church and all that is something that my parents and I never talked about. So the only like exposure that I got to that was through my best friend. His name is Miguel, actually.
Yeah.
That might help the story just
Yeah.
a little bit. But
All
yeah.
right. So not much church life. How was home life? Just was it hectic? Was it good? Did you I mean parents were they in the house? You said biological father, so tell whatever you're comfortable with, share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my mom and my biological dad, his name's Bubba. Um, he actually passed away earlier this year,
Hmm.
which you know that. But they split up, I think, around when I was one, maybe before that a little bit. Um, and then my mom met my stepdad like very shortly after that, and then moved in with him. And then I had a relationship with Bubba growing up until I was about maybe 10, but like it started off great at first, right? Like it was like up here right
Right.
after the split, but it just like slowly tapered as time went on, and then it's like when I hit 10 or 11, it just
Yeah. Yeah.
like dropped and pretty much non-existent at that point. And so my stepdad was actually the one raising me, and like I said, as time went on and it tapered, just seeing him less and less, and then just not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to answer your question, the my life wasn't hectic at all. I would say it was busy. I was
Yeah.
just always, outside with Miguel, playing with him. We lived in like a little, somewhat small neighborhood, almost kind of like what you live in now. It's not
Yeah.
like a dedicated neighborhood.
Right.
Um, but I was always out playing with friends and stuff like that. So I was just busy, but
Just
it,
being a
it
kid,
wasn't
man.
hectic. Yeah, yeah, I was just being a kid, basically, come back home when the streetlights come on. But
Right.
yeah, I was just playing all the time.
Okay.
But it was a good childhood though. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't have any real bad memories or anything like that. So
So what does that lead into? So once you get into high school, were you goody goody, get into trouble? What's that look like?
honestly, I wasn't perfect.
Yeah.
Um, I did lean more on the goody goody
Yeah.
side, but I wasn't a snitch or
Yeah.
anything. Like, what I mean? I didn't, smoke or really. I did drink a little bit, but that wasn't until my senior year.
Yeah.
And I didn't do any drugs because I was in sports.
Hmm.
So because of sports, I kept clean and everything.
Yeah.
But as far as like any partying or anything like that, nah, I didn't do that. I was actually rather pretty good and pretty chill.
That's good.
So yeah.
Sweet. Well, so you said you didn't have much church life, I guess, in general. I mean, other than just going on random basis with buddies. So what got you into the church? Because when I met you, you were fully involved. So what's that transition look like? I mean, was it Yeah, just talk about that a little bit.
Okay, so since we're kind of on the topic of high school is my freshman years when I started getting into rock music.
Okay.
So all my life leading up to that, I've only listened to country music, like specifically like just country music and nothing else.
Right.
And a lot of like the oldies country music at that. Um, but in high school, freshman years, when I started listening to like Creed, Nickelback, and started getting into the rock scene and got pretty heavily into Metallica,
Okay.
and they were my favorite band for like the longest time. Out of that, like nothing could touch them.
Yeah.
Um, and um, then I met my second best friend. His name is Kyle, and I met him. Gosh, I think if I remember correctly, junior year ish. I
Hmm.
think it was. And then um, he also didn't grow up any like church, whatever either, and he was big into like the heavy metal music.
Yeah.
And so because I started hanging out with him because video games and Call of Duty,
Yeah.
I got introduced to his lifestyle, obviously, and got into like the real heavy screamo metal music and stuff like that. Um, Once I graduated high school, I then like started not being such a good boy anymore. Nothing too crazy, but just typical stuff. I started, drinking more. I was hanging out with him. I wasn't like, going out and getting in jail and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But, um, well, I mean, I did, but
It just wasn't a life centered on Christ, basically.
well,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't. And I didn't actually officially get charged with anything. And my department knows this.
Yeah.
I've been honest with them about that. I wasn't officially charged with anything, so
Yeah.
nothing held against me.
Yeah. You're
But
good.
yeah, and then I was working a dead end job, and I was like, what am I doing with my life? I had a baby on the way in fire academy just before I graduated. He was born, Aiden. Um, and then that's how I got into the firefighter job. Is I was like, I need to make some changes. Continued with like all the heavy music. It just got like heavier as time went on. I'm like Slipknot, Whitechapel, Job for a Cowboy, like all the basic, what you would call devil worshiping music. And then after I divorced my first wife, about a year and a half later, I met Hannah. Hannah grew up in a very Christ centered lifestyle. Um, in fact, her grandparents go to our church.
Yeah.
They have been going there for years and years. And before they went to a church that was right, actually close to ours, right down the street, basically. But I met her, and then she had had a Bible and was reading it and stuff, and I'm full blown alcoholic mode at this point. And she would, I mean, I didn't know it because she kind of, I'm not saying she was hiding it, but like she would do it whenever I would go off and drink and play video games and stuff like that. So that's how I didn't really see it or notice it. That she was reading the Bible and praying for me and things like that. And I noticed when we lived in our newer house in 2022, 2023, uh, that every time I got in her car, it was always on KSBJ.
Yeah.
And I would complain. I'm like, man, why are you listening to this Jesus music? Like, this is so obnoxious. Like, just complaining about it. And she's like, I like it. And well, so whatever. And she was basically just planting seeds.
Yeah.
God was just looking back on it now. Like, I didn't see it then, obviously, but God was just using her to, plant seeds for me. And then slowly as time went on, I just like got used to it and
Hmm.
started to like it, whether I wanted to admit it or not. Um, and then I don't know. It's just one of those things that it kind of just hit me like a lightning bolt, I
Mm-hmm.
guess. I was just, I, I laugh about it now because I was in the shower drying off some, you know,
Yeah.
very vulnerable, for lack of better terms. And I was just like contemplating life, and I was just like, for no reason, and I was like, what am I really doing? And it just something in my mind was just like, you just need to verbalize and give your life to Christ.
Mm.
And so I just did it. And so I was just like out loud was just like, you know, I give my life to you, Christ, and I welcome Jesus into my life. And it just like a gut punch, almost like the wind got knocked out of
Yeah.
me. It was pretty nuts. I managed to dry off and put most of my clothes on, and then I like bear crawled into my dorm, which luckily was just directly across the hall from the bathroom, and I was just like sobbing, crying, and it was pretty intense,
Yeah.
honestly. But yeah, it was basically Hannah.
Yeah.
I give her, I mean, other than God,
Yeah.
honestly, I give her the earthly credit
Right.
for me being saved.
Yeah.
So just always the KSBJ, reading her Bible in bed and stuff like that, and
Sounds like some divine
her
intervention
praying
there
for me.
too, for sure.
Well, yeah, yeah, because I mean, I never would have thought about it otherwise,
Yeah.
you know.
What
So,
had you been going to church at all at that point, or was it just more of a just seeing it through Hannah?
so after the divorce and then leading up to Hannah, that year and a half gap, I kind of dabbled in church a little bit, and that was because of another firefighter buddy that I had at that time. He went to church and stuff, but
Yeah.
he was not really a good person. Um, um, but yeah, he tried to steal my stuff, and Hannah would catch him.
That does make sense.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I shouldn't be. Anyway, he I would hang out with him and go to church a little bit here and there, but I never really found a church that was like home.
Yeah.
So after Hannah, she dabbled a little bit and kind of started going back to church again. Because after when her and I met, she was not going to church at that time, but she was still reading and praying,
Right. Yeah.
but she wasn't going. And then I had to say it was probably a few months before I got saved. She like started going again, and I went maybe a couple times. I don't think I went real often. And then like right after I got saved, I basically just hit the ground running.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And so how this is what maybe like 2.5 years ago, 3 years maybe at this point.
yeah, so I got saved August 7th of 23,
Yeah.
and so yeah, just
Just over two
just a
years.
little over 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. And you've hit the ground running, man. You and Hannah have been a huge addition. Well, I say addition. I mean, we came in about the same time as you, but as far as y'all are involved in just about everything you can be in the church, and it's been awesome to see that. So it's you were in our first re-engage group, and then you're in it now, and I think maybe y'all are going to be facilitators next semester. I don't know. We'll see.
we we're hoping to.
Yeah. If not, it's okay. But
Well, if we're not gonna facilitate, we're at least still gonna be taking the classes,
right.
honestly. But she really wants to get a house first before
Yeah.
we do that, so that way, like, as we're hosting the class, we can host at our house,
Yeah.
and kind of like what you and gosh, dang it.
Amanda.
No, no, no,
Oh.
the other
Freddie.
group,
Yeah. Freddie and Sherry.
Sherry and
Yeah.
Freddie, yeah, yeah. No, I know your wife's name. Uh, she'd probably kick me in the shin if I didn't.
Yeah.
Um, but so like how Freddie's hosted, I think twice now.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
for sure once, but so she wants to be able to do that.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so I don't know. We're still talking about it. I know
yeah,
for sure that we do want to do it. It's a matter of when
yeah. Well,
rather than
regardless, y'all are still getting involved in the church, so it's just cool to see that transformation. And from someone that's been in the church for a while, not this church, but as far as church life goes, I didn't grow up in it, but I mean, ever since high school, I've kind of been tagged in, and I've just seen your growth for the time that I've known you, and it's been incredibly encouraging. Like you said, I think hitting the ground running is the best way to put that. I mean, like you've been on fire, and what is your family seeing that? Have you seen the dynamic change in your family? Like I know with your oldest and with Hannah, like I mean, is it cool to see that change? Has it been hard? Has it been easy? Where are you at with that?
I'd say it's probably 75% good, about 25% hard.
Yeah,
And I say that because Hallie just got baptized
yeah,
not too long ago. So her being that's my middle child for
yeah,
those of y'all who don't know me. Um, she's 8, about to be 9 next month, and she got baptized, so that was awesome. I mean, obviously she was raised by Hannah, so
yeah,
she kind of got the same, church life a little bit. Um, and so that's awesome. And then Charlotte, whenever we go to church on Wednesdays, whenever Pastor Jeff or Pastor Larry, um, whenever they pray over the dinner and stuff like that, she'll like do her little
that's
hands
awesome.
like this, and yeah, she's like at the table, and
Yeah,
she's like peeking around at people like
yeah,
this, and yeah, it's really adorable. But and she'll like try to kind of say along with it.
right.
She doesn't really know what she's praying yet, but she's at least trying, and so
Yeah,
seeing that natural desire to want to do it has been really great. Aiden has been our hardest one.
yeah,
um I don't know, it's just trying to motivate him, to want to have the same desire as the rest of us.
yeah,
He's kind of, for lack of better terms, like the almost like the oddball out, but
yeah,
I don't want to knock him
yeah.
because
Well, in his defense, though, he knew you before your change too, right? I mean, like,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, that's the thing is he's gonna see that change in you, I think, and I think that'll want him to change in that desire too. I mean, I see that already the way he looks up to you, and I mean, you're a pretty goofy guy when it comes down to it, and I'm pretty sure he was running around church in a cow costume one day, so that
Yeah,
that takes some courage. Well, courage or goofiness, I don't know which, but
maybe a little bit above,
either way,
because
he's
it takes
involved,
courage.
and yeah, so it's awesome to see your family get involved, and we want to be the same way with our kids. You know, we got the two young ones, so it's encouraging to be around y'all, and it's really encouraging just to see other firefighters that are on fire. Because I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. I mean, what's that been like at work with that transition? Like you said, you got saved at work. That was um, a personal transition that you made, and um, what does that look like? I mean, has it been a struggle with the guys, or
Not at all, really. I've had a little bit of flack,
yeah,
but I think it's based on the fact that our policy
yeah,
at work states that we're not really supposed to talk about political or religious things. And I think that's just to protect us from like the public and stuff,
yeah,
especially going on calls and all that.
yeah,
And so I think from like a policy, standpoint, point of view, the flack that I have got, which hasn't been much,
yeah,
but the flack that I have got, I think stems from that,
yeah,
rather than like personal attack.
right, right,
But generally speaking, the vast majority of the guys that I work with are of faith.
yeah,
So about 99% of the people that I talk to like doesn't have an issue with it, and a
yeah,
lot of times they'll open up, and pretty much everybody that especially every new guy or person that I haven't met, I've kind of almost made a reputation for myself, which I forgot who that reputation was with, but um, of asking, "Have you been saved?"
Yeah.
Or like, "Do you go to church?" Like I
Yeah.
start like almost like
You just go,
interrogating
yeah,
them,
go right
but
into it.
like nicely, yeah. Instead of introducing myself, I'm like, "Hey, do you go to church? Are you saved? Like, what's your faith with Christ?" Like, I
Yeah.
just jumped straight into
So
that.
you're the weirdo, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's hilarious because I used to the term Bible thumpers,
Yeah.
I used to like bash on those people, and back before I got saved,
Yeah.
I used to like bash on them, and I'm just like, what a bunch of weirdos.
Yeah.
And then now,
Yeah. That's how it works.
now it's me,
Yeah. That's awesome,
basically.
man. Yeah.
And so yeah, it's been really easy at work to talk to all the guys. Don't have an issue with it. Um, so somebody did bring up about basically doing a men's group like what we just did, the
Yeah.
radical mentoring type
Yeah.
deal, doing some sort of church group at our work.
Right.
Um, and then I was like, obviously on board with that. I was like, yeah, we should totally do that. And then by the next day, I've never heard anything about it since then.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm not sure what they had in mind as far as like how would we do that at work.
Right.
Obviously, in the policy, but um, would it just be for the guys at the department who meet outside of work, or
Right.
I mean, they didn't give really
Yeah.
anything, but I think that it would be obviously I think it's a good idea for anybody.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. And how is that? So, the other thing for people, I mean, people that don't know the fire service, how has that transition been like with your family? So, being away for amount of time, and then also a second question on that. Like, for me, I know it was a big struggle when we got here to find a sense of community at our church because it seems like for me, every third week I'm gone. For you, it's every fourth week, I guess, and you're gone for 2 weeks at a
it's
time. Yeah.
yeah.
Or 6 weeks, yeah.
So um, as far as the fire life and all that, only being gone 2 to 3 days a week, I mean, Hannah's used to it.
Yeah.
Um, she has friends who are in the job also, so she had an idea before she met me.
Right.
But it's been easy on her. It was harder whenever I worked a load of overtime,
Yeah.
and I'm talking I was working on average like 20 to 22 days a month,
Ooh,
and I
yeah.
did that for like 2 to 3 years.
Yeah, that's a single
And
man life right there.
yeah, yeah, and I was almost to that point.
Yeah.
So that was real hard on us, but and then that coupled with the alcoholism, it was not a pretty story.
Yeah.
But now that overtime has kind of slowed down and just become occasional, uh, that life is fine for us. I'm gone as far as church goes every sixth and seventh week.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been easy. Obviously, with the line of work that we have, it's not a big deal for the family to come up to the station
Right.
for us, and they live close by. I did get moved out to an outer lying station, so that does make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to be gone for a long time, like 3, 4, 5 days, she makes it a point to come and see me a couple times, and you know
Yeah.
and then there's also FaceTime. I
Yeah.
can call the kids. I can see them that way if they don't happen to stop by. But yeah, it's been
Yeah.
great.
It's hard to explain to other people. I mean, we are leaving our kids and our families, but we also were going into a family. I mean, I tell people like when they come and tour the station, I'm like, hey, this is our home. Like, you don't think of it
Mhm.
like that. They think it's just a place of work, but then we show them our bedrooms and stuff, and they're like, oh wait, you actually sleep here. It's like, yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a home, and um, those guys become your family, and I think it can be intimidating for guys that are starting to take their faith seriously. They don't want to talk about it, and that's funny because you mentioned like you found it pretty easy. And for probably the first 5 or 6 years of my career, I let my faith kind of fall on the backside because I was scared of what people would think. And now that I'm starting to act out more in my faith, I'm seeing like what you said, like no one really cares. It's kind of like your family. Like some people may get a little bit annoyed of it, but it is what it is, and most people
Yeah.
are going to respect it one way or the other. Um, so it's been really rewarding in that. And then as far as the family goes, like like you said, FaceTime. Like I FaceTime my kids every night before bedtime, and my oldest, she knows the people I work with, and she always wants to talk to them before she goes to bed too. So she's got one of the guys at my station that she loves, and so she's like, I need to talk to him, and like. Whenever I'm at a different station, she'll be like, "Hey, where's so and so?" And I'm like, "Well, he's at his station. I'm at a different station tonight," and she'll get mad about it. But it's funny. So it really is a family unit though, and
Mhm.
I love your testimony because I think there's been a huge transformation. I didn't necessarily get to witness that, but I've heard your story, and it's just really encouraging to see you act out your faith. I think you're one of those guys that is really a light in a dark place, and I
Oh, thank you.
I always like seeing your shirts. You're big on wearing the Christ shirts and
Mhm.
stuff. I actually
Yeah.
have like the one that I told Amanda. I was like, Nick always has the best shirts, and she's like, which one do you want? Like, I'll get you one for Christmas. And you have the one that says the "Make Christ Known" or whatever.
Oh
And
yes.
yeah,
So I'll give you the websites. Um, and sorry to interrupt.
no, you're good. Yeah,
But I do want to touch on everything that you
yeah,
kind of talked about. So yeah, it's weird that like people don't know how much of a second home
yeah,
the station is. That like it's like they have no idea that we actually stay the night there and
hmm,
literally live there. That
yeah,
we have a kitchen
yeah. Well,
and like
we're spending holidays with these. Like, if you're working a holiday, like
yeah.
every third year you're working a Thanksgiving, a Christmas, a New Year,
Mhm.
like all those holidays, like we'll have holiday meals, and it's I mean like so it's like an extended family. It really is. Like
Yeah, and I expected more people to
yeah,
know that, but I found a lot of people are really surprised
yeah,
when they hear that, and so that's been really confusing to me. I'm
yeah.
like, I thought everybody knew this, but oh man, I forgot the other thing that you had talked about. Oh, the other thing was that's talking to the guys at work. It's kind of one of those things that like nobody really talks about until you talk about it.
Right.
And so, by talking about faith, is actually how I found out the vast majority of like 99% of everybody that I work with is of faith.
Right.
And I wouldn't have known that if I hadn't started talking about it and like being more vocal and
Yeah.
being, uh, like I would call myself confident, being
Yeah.
the confident person that I am to like be the one to voice it first and
Yeah.
go up to them and start talking about it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known that either.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been really fun to talk to people about it. There's actually one guy right now who's on my shift who's at a neighboring station, and he's been really fun to talk to. He's like right there on the verge.
Yeah.
He says that like he prays and stuff, but he still has like a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So I gave him a book of mine. It's Lee Strobel, Case for Christ.
Good book.
So I gave him that, and I felt that it was so important to go ahead and give it to him before I could even finish reading it.
Yeah. Well, I've
So
got a
I
copy if
got
you want to borrow it. So
well, I'll get it back. But I was like, it's too important
yeah.
to like sit here and read it. Like I need to give it to him
Yeah.
now that I know that he's got questions. And then on top of that, in the meantime, I got another small stack of books. So this men's group has really got me into
Yeah.
reading now.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it would have just been like Harry Potter books.
Right.
But I got an apologetics book that actually I feel like answers a lot of the questions that he and I have talked about.
Yeah.
And being new to the faith of only a couple years, he's got some pretty tough questions,
Yeah.
and I've given him what I felt like were pretty good answers, but he's still like, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like he's like one of those. he needs like concrete evidence,
Yeah.
and I'm just like,
Well, that Case for Christ will be a good book for him then. That's
yeah.
yeah.
So it's been, I think I gave that to him before I took off for my vacation, and it's been almost 2 weeks now. So I need to check in on him, see
Yeah.
how he's doing with it. Whenever he gets done with that, I'm gonna give him the apologetics book. Side note, funny thing is when I started reading that, I was highlighting things that I felt of importance in
Hmm.
that book, and then I gave it to him, and I was like, "Hey, there's some highlighted things in there that might like be of help to you."
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
then so reading this men's group has really helped me a lot in trying to find more books and highlighting things and being more intentional with like what I'm reading because like I'm highlighting and stuff, and so it keeps me more grounded to the book
Right.
as I'm reading it. So, you know, if we can get more people into, groups that can help further learn and concrete people's faith and things like that, that'd be great. And
Yeah.
then I got to get you those links for the Jesus shirts. They've
Yeah.
they've helped with a lot of
Yeah.
meeting people
Right.
in public.
Yeah.
Actually, we just went to Disneyland, and of course, I was like, gotta wear a Jesus shirt
Yeah.
to Disneyland. That's
Yeah.
like the one of the biggest billboards or like
Yeah.
advertising places that you could take Jesus, right?
Yeah.
And so I did, and we took the shuttle in, and we're standing in line to wait to get on the little cart. And somebody walks up and was like, "I love your shirt," blah blah. So then we started talking about it and like how great God is and stuff like that. And then like we get on, and it's open cab,
Yeah.
so they're sitting right in front of us, and we're just like still talking about Christ and faith and stuff like that. And then it went into, she gave us advice on like what rides to ride, like where to go in the park and all this stuff. And I was like, we got so much help from that lady, and
Yeah.
it was just because of my Jesus shirt
Right.
and from the help of Christ and stuff like that. And I'm like,
Yeah.
otherwise, like who would have known?
Yeah. Community of believers is an amazing thing, and that's something
Yeah,
I like to talk about too. Is just like when you meet a true believer, like you'll know it. Like there's a lot of people that out there that like they're I guess the bandwagon followers or whatever,
mhm,
but like when you find a true community, like you'll experience something like never before, and that's what I feel like our church is honestly. Like we have a huge blessing in the church that we attend, and we've got a great group of people, and I think it's a growing church, and I think the reason is that it's people that are real and authentic, and that's what it's about, man. So
yeah, I do. I love our church so much.
yeah. When you actually y'all
It's really
decided to
great.
stay closer, right? Like y'all were gonna move away.
Yeah, so yeah, we could touch on that.
Yeah, I
We
love that.
originally decided to move away to basically the countryside, and I told Hannah, I was like, well, if that's the case, if because that was something that we both agreed on, and
Hmm.
something that we had talked about before we ever bought our first house, and we were just not ever able to pull the trigger on it. We just always ended up buying a house in like a neighborhood area because it's obviously cheaper than buying land and like a than building a $300,000 house on it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, we had talked about it. And I was like, we now is our chance to like try for that again. So we settled on that, and then out of the blue, Hannah hits me with like we're just driving, and she just hits me with, "Yeah, I'm feeling convicted that we just need to stay close
Yeah.
and not move out to the country because we need to stay at our church." Because what I started to say was, if we were going to move out to the country, I told her, I was like, we're going to have to sacrifice not going to church on Wednesdays anymore because of school for the kids. It would have been at least an hour drive
Yeah.
there and then an hour drive back. Sorry,
You're good.
just um, yeah, at least an hour commute, if not more, there and back.
Right.
And so I was like, so we could only go Sundays, and that's, you
Yeah.
know, something that we would have to deal with. And yeah, then she hit me with the I'm feeling convicted that we need to stay and be more involved. And I was like, at first, I thought about it and I was like, man, I really wanted to go move and live out in the country because that was something that I've, wanted to do since I was like younger, and then it didn't help that we
Yeah.
got a horse. And I get to go hunt out there and stuff like that sometimes. Um, when her cousin kills everything out there, so that he like doesn't leave anything to hunt.
Right.
So so basically, they just allow me to go sit in a deer stand for no reason.
Yeah.
But um, anyway, um, so like I got to taste that life, and I was like, man, this life's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
And then it's like when we get a chance to have that again, and then she's like, I'm feeling convicted. It's like, man, how do you argue that,
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I really want this over here, but I can't argue with that. And so basically it was like, I got to go with what she says. And then as time went on, I was like, being more involved in the church, I think would obviously be amazing, and I would be happy doing that.
Yeah.
And so I got in touch with Larry and signed up to be one of the, I don't know what they're called, but
Just a
like he
group
was on.
leader, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like more like a liaison,
There you
I
go. Yeah.
guess, more than
Yeah.
anything, for our church. Which I haven't heard anything else about that. Maybe I should check in on that. But yeah, so I signed up to do that, and then we're trying to up our level in re-engage,
Yeah.
and so like we're just taking like more and more steps, and honestly, it has felt really good
Yeah.
to further our involvement in the church, even the little bit that we have so far, since we haven't moved closer yet.
Yeah.
So
Well, I just wanted to point that out because I feel like that was a huge growth moment, I would say, or like it showed some good leadership. I feel like as dads and husbands and things like that, we feel like leadership means that we always have to make the decision. And I do think that we are held accountable for those decisions. Like I think we are called to make the final call, but
right,
I think that involves listening to our wives and listening to their discernment as well. God gave us a gift with them, and I mean, I'm a little biased too. I was a little bummed when you said y'all were gonna leave, and when you said you were staying, I was a little bit more excited about that. So, I
yeah, I
think that
think
that shows good leadership that you're willing to listen to your wife, and maybe forego a little bit of those personal desires, not only to serve your family but also to serve Christ. So I think it's awesome, and I appreciate you taking the time. I don't want to hold you too much longer, but if you've got anything else you want to say, I'll let you have it. Have the
um,
floor.
um, I don't think I have anything else to add. Zion might.
Yeah.
He decided to walk over here. He's backing away now. But
Right.
I don't think I have anything to really add as of right now. But if you come up with more questions, I'll be more than happy to come back on.
Yeah.
If you ever want to do this again, and if there's ever something else that you want to talk about or touch back over again, more in depth, whatever, I'm always open. I love to talk about it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. I really appreciate it, and yeah, we'll close it out here. So I appreciate it, man.
thank you.